want you to picture a tomato. Go ahead, do it. Is this what you're imagining? Would you eat this? What about this heirloom tomato? If I told you it tasted about the same as the first one, would you choose the weird-looking one or the first perfect-looking tomato? My name is Keira Elko, and I'd like to talk to you about the ugly side of food. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was little, my dad would drag me along to the local weekend's farmers market, back when we lived in California. Oh, and this is tiny meat, by the way. And this farmers market was a place where all the local growers and farmers got together to sell their fresh produce. From raspberry-flavored honey to purple carrots, funky tomatoes, and organic corn, this was the place to buy it straight from the source. Unfortunately for little impatient Keira, my dad would take forever at each stand. So I would wander around, trying to entertain myself. After I tasted all the different flavors of honey at the honey stand, I made it my personal challenge to find the ugliest fruits and vegetables and show them to my dad. Look, Daddy, this radish is the size of my head. And look at this monster strawberry. But often, here at local supermarkets in Japan, there are no kaiju strawberries or mutated leggy carrots, but why is that? Well, it's because grocery stores and supermarkets won't buy ugly produce from growers because they're less likely to be bought by consumers who can actually taste the food when they're buying it, unlike at a farmer's market. Consequently, they have to go off of looks alone. This results in a produce market that prioritizes appearance over other, arguably more important things, like flavor. But hold on, let me ask you all a question. What even makes this strawberry on the left aesthetically pleasing? What even makes this strawberry on the left aesthetically pleasing and this one on the right not? Well, according to Philip Ben, the CEO of Imperfect Foods, a company that is on a mission to eliminate food waste, grocers dispose of produce for a variety of reasons. Quote, it could be a small quirk in appearance based off of size, shape, or color that has no impact on flavor or nutrition. First up, there are cosmetic imperfections. Examples include scars, a weird color, scuffs, and other visual flaws. Another imperfection that supermarkets look at are size or weight-related flaws. So produce that is too big, too small, too heavy, or too light are often discarded. Personally, I think this is silly, because the only thing wrong with an overly large apple is that you get more apple. Another major contributor to food waste is surplus, or when there's so much crop that not all of it is sold, leading to the disposal of perfectly edible produce. Through my research, I have found that beyond produce, perfectly good grocery items often go to waste for similarly illogical reasons, and that many grocery store standards are pretty arbitrary. Unfortunately, most of the food that is thrown out because of the reasons I just shared are perfectly safe to eat. How much food actually goes to waste, you may ask? Well, according to the USDA, an astounding 30 to 40% of the US food supply is wasted. And businesses discard around $15 billion worth of edible fruits and vegetables every year. Some may ask, is this a big problem? Yes, it is a big problem. Why? Because tragically and ironically, despite this immense food waste, according to another USDA report, 1 in 8 Americans don't have enough to eat. In fact, according to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, quote, the global issue of hunger and food insecurity has shown an alarming increase in recent years, exacerbated by a combination of factors, including the pandemic, conflicts, climate change, and deepening inequalities. Even in Japan, food insecurity is an issue. According to the NIH, in 2021, there were around 4.3 million people suffering from food insecurity in Japan. And now imagine this. In that same year, more than 5 million tons of completely edible food was wasted. That 5 million tons of discarded food could have theoretically fed all the nearly 10 million inhabitants of Tokyo for an entire year. So, given all this, what can you do to help? Eat the ugly food. How do I buy ugly food? Listen to little Keira and go to a farmer's market to find fresh, nutritious, and ugly produce. Now, some of you may think that farmers markets in Japan are not very common, but there are several in Kobe, including one called, fittingly, the Eat Local Kobe Farmers Market. In Japan, there are also several different companies dedicated to reducing food waste. The food is unwanted for a number of reasons, from appearance to misunderstandings about the difference between the best-by date and the expiration date. Tokupochi, for example, sells food too close to the expiration date for businesses to sell, but far enough away that it's still perfectly edible, and at a sizable discount. Another company called Mottainai also fights against food waste with its Eco-Eat stores. Appropriately, Mottainai is named after the Japanese saying, which means the regret felt when something is put to waste. Mottainai buys or is donated food from businesses and then sells them at one of their 20-plus storefronts around Japan. Incidentally, the closest one to Canadian Academy is Nagasaki, which is only a short 30 minutes car ride away. Between their opening in 2021 throughout the end of 2023, Mottainai has saved around 7,000 tons of food from being wasted. But I believe it's not just about ugly food. In a country like Japan, which values visual aesthetics overall, there's a hidden problem of food insecurity, hidden behind the shiny strawberries and the perfect $100 melons. So, what else are stores doing to convince consumers to buy ugly food? Well, some researchers did an experiment where they put positive signs next to ugly produce. These signs said phrases like, "You're awesome, buy ugly produce." Interestingly, they found that when shopper self-esteem was temporarily boosted, it lessened the taboo against buying ugly food and raised sales as much as 19%. Other research from the Ohio State University found that in pairing messages like, quote, "Buying imperfect produce means less food wasted, which is good for society," with messages such as, "Ugly vegetables are just as nutritious," consumers were more willing to purchase misshapen vegetables, especially at a discount. So, to summarize, edible food is thrown out because of cosmetic, size, and surface reasons which prevent the majority of supermarkets from wanting to buy them. This contributes to the global problem of food waste, ironic considering that there's a global issue of world hunger. In order to help fight the prejudice against ugly food, you can buy food from farmers markets or from companies also helping fight this issue. So, with all this, I invite you to take a break from buying only perfect produce and go ahead and be brave. Next time, choose the ugly tomato. Thank you for listening.